Hello and welcome to What the Rust. Today's project is this 85 GM square body. This is a pretty special truck to the owner because it was his very first vehicle when he was 16 years old. He drove the wheels off of it, but it's been sitting for at least 10 years, and today we're gonna get it going. Come on along for the ride, it's gonna be fun. Let's do a quick walk around and then we'll jump right into it. It's a mostly rust-free truck. It's a great color combo. This two-tone blue. In the 80s, GM used a lot of two-tones. My dad had a black and gray, same year as this one. This two-tone blue is pretty cool. It's a long bed. Heavy-duty bumper. Grasshoppers. I'm treading carefully. The owner told me that there was a snake under the hood yesterday when he popped the hood. So we'll probably pull it out of this grassy area that it's in. But it's got flat tires and the typical stuff that vehicles have when they've been sitting a while. Unfortunately, the Tennessee sun has not been kind to the paint. Custom grill. I remember these from back in the day, these tube grills. They were so popular. And this one looks like it has extra lights behind it right there. Pretty neat. Chrome bumper's in great shape. Let's take a quick look inside. Wow, look at this thing. Power windows, power locks, tilt wheel. The seat is in amazing shape. Boy, this is a great truck. This is going to be really neat to get running again. Does it have AC? It does, or at least it did. Let's check this. Wow, the column isn't even loose. So for miles, it's got 117,000 on it. The owner tells me that at 99,000, the engine went, and he put a GM crate engine in. So the crate engine has just over 17,000 miles on it. Even the headline is good. Wow, what a truck. Let's look under the hood. Okay, hopefully the snake is gone. It was right in there in the hood, the owner tells me. We already got top post battery connectors, that's nice. I brought some, but I won't need them. Oh, it's got headers on it. Neat. Is a telltale sign of a GM crate engine. Looks like a quadrajet still. AC is disconnected. Let's check the oil. A little bit low, but not bad. Not bad. Let's see if I can smell any gas in it. No, it smells real good. As it should for a 17,000 mile engine. I see that the master cylinder's full. That's cool. Boy, if this thing isn't stuck, I don't want to say it'll be a walk in the park, but probably won't be too bad. Of course, I've just jinxed myself now. All right, let's get into it. This tire is very flat, but I think it will hold air. We're gonna try to pull this truck out of this grass, and I want the tires to be up before we do that. So we've got one up out of 4. Passenger side front. The others are completely flat, but none of them look like they're off the rim. I don't know if you can see that down by the tire, that brown nasty spider. Maybe one of you viewers can identify it, but boy, I don't like it right next to that filler plug. I'll have to be careful of it. Oh, it's got coolant in it. Got coolant. Yay. Now the transmission was supposedly rebuilt when the engine was put in, so I expect this is going to be super red. Not so much. Not so much. It doesn't smell, but it's not super red as I expected. I'm not a big fan of these transmissions, honestly. But we'll see if that's problematic or not. Good old Quadrajet. Linkage stuck? No, not at all. Yay. Some dirt daubers on the distributor. It's got HEI. Cruise controls disconnected. Looks like a young man's truck, that's for sure. A little vacuum leak here we're gonna have to plug. Otherwise, looking good. Some junk in here. So underneath, this is the muffler, one on each side, and the owner told me that he actually made these. They're homemade mufflers with custom baffles inside. I can't wait to hear what this thing sounds like. That is really some country ingenuity there. Okay, let's do it. This is where the truck was sitting all those years. And there's a big varmint hole right there. Looks like it burrowed right under the front tire. Now we've got this beautiful shade tree to work with. It's got to be 5 degrees cooler under here. It's going to make life easy. While I'm thinking of it, I'm going to oil these hinges. These square body hoods are known for buckling. So even though this hood's fine, I like to lube it up with Creoil anyway. Well, unfortunately, the engine is stuck. I'm going to try to get you a view. Hopefully you can see that, not sure you can. I'm on the crank bolt with my ratchet and it's not moving. I've tried both directions. Let me try both hands. What in the world? I'm pushing as hard as I can. And it's not moving. Okay, that's a bummer. Now this is a short ratchet, so. But it looks like I'm gonna have to try to get the plumber's wrench in here. Yeah. Yep. The big guns always work. Sometimes people laugh at me for using this plumber's wrench, but I'm telling you, when it comes to getting engines unstuck, there is no better tool. Look at that, it's moving beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna put some oil in the cylinders before I go any farther, then I'm gonna go around twice. So here's number 2, which is the first one on the passenger side on a Chevy. And it looks good. It doesn't look that old. It's not fouled in any way. It's got a light ash color on the insulator, which is perfect. And it's a nice Delco plug, an R44. So I'm just gonna clean it up a bit, oil the cylinder, and put it back in. And I'm gonna do the same for all 8, and I'll get back to you. So the oil I've put into the cylinders is Creoil. I did not put Marble Mystery Oil in there. I could never turn it over with the plugs in it with any real amount of oil in there. So there's just a few squirts of Creoil in there just to keep any scratching from taking place when this is first turned over. Okay, one side done. All the plugs are the same. Very, very nice. No issues whatsoever in getting these out and cleaned up. It's interesting here. We've got so far snakes, wasps, spiders, and bees all in one truck. So far I haven't gotten bitten or stung, so that's a good thing. Okay, number one is carbon fouled, which tells me that there may have been some kind of intake leak or vacuum leak at the carb on this runner. But the plug is good, it's gapped right. I'm just going to clean it up and put it back in. Alright, discovered one problem when I was taking the plugs out. This wire has been hitting the header and it burned right through. This may have been causing a miss because it's right through the jacket. So luckily there was a brand new set of wires in the toolbox. So we just swapped this one out with a shorter one, and now it doesn't touch the manifold. Okay, now that I've got oil in the cylinders, I'm going to crank this engine by hand around twice. So I've got my chalk mark on the crank so that I can see when I've gone around 2 times. And I'm just going to be pulling on this plumber wrench till I get it around twice. The reason you do it twice is to make sure all the valves are actuated through the entire combustion process. We have been around twice. No issues. I hit a couple of hard spots, but it may have been compression, those hard spots. In any case, the reason I think they were compression is because I'd hit the hard spot, I'd wait a few seconds for the compression to bleed off, and then it was easy. So the valves appear to be just fine. One thing I haven't done yet is check the gas. Oh boy, yay. Okay.
You got some friends?
Yeah, lots of them. Let me get the brake clean, that'll take care of them. All right, I think we got them. There's a couple stragglers flying around, but I think we got them. Looks like a mushroom cloud, doesn't it? All right, back to the task at hand. Yeah, it smells pretty bad. Pretty bad, as you can imagine. Okay, I'm not sure we're going to use that. It doesn't smell good. Okay, this was all loose and disconnected, so I'm not sure why, but we're going to hook fuel right up to here, gravity feed it, and we're going to put the outlet from the fuel pump into a container and try to pump the bad gas out. We get enough of it out, we can put fresh gas in it and dilute it enough to use. So the gas smells real bad, but it's not completely shot based on how it smells. Well, this tire didn't stay up for long. That's a bummer. Well, we got the fuel system hooked up. We're going to run the fuel pump down to a 5-gallon can. So we'll be able to pump 5 gallons of bad gas out before we shut it off. I'm going to have to block the vent because the vent, well, no, I don't. The vent will still be sending gas back to the tank. That's this small line, but it doesn't matter because we're going to be pumping the tank with the main line. So I'll leave the vent connected. So the battery's in. We're going to do the touch test. No spark. That's good. You know, an 85 doesn't have a computer, so shouldn't be any spark. The cable is just long enough to reach. Whoa, what was that?
Some smoke.
Yeah, something burned up. What was that? Was the key on at that point? No.
No.
Wow. Well, that's weird. So that was something that must have come off this junction.
No, in here, but it's probably from out there.
Oh yeah, it was right there. Okay, let me hook this battery up and see if it does it again.
You may take the key out of it?
No.
Okay.
But it's off, right?
It's
the key's off. Okay. If I had to guess what just happened, this is disconnected for some reason. And I wonder if the plug is shorted or was shorted. It looks like it went there before, right? Like that.
Okay.
And maybe what I heard pop was that popped off. Let me clean that up. We'll see. So we had a little excitement there. We had some excitement, a loud pop, and then the sound of like a match being struck with a little bit of smoke. And we think it was this solenoid here. We're not exactly sure what that does. It's only got a vacuum line attached to it and this. And whatever the solenoid is, we believe it was fused and just popped. So we haven't seen any other issues here that would lead us to believe there's any other electrical problem. So we're going to give it another try and just keep real close eye on everything electrical in here. Try number 2. Hopefully no flames this time. I'm going to fill up the bowl in the carburetor first. And then we're going to give it a squirt and then try it. The owner's inside with the key. Okay, go for it.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Any dash lights?
Nothing.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting. I'm thinking it might be this battery connection.
Okay.
All right, let's troubleshoot. All right, so I figured out what happened, and I screwed up. There's no other way to say it. I screwed up. What happened here is we blew out something called the fusible link. What is a fusible link? I'll show you. A fusible link is just a thin piece of wire that's designed to prevent high current from going to certain things, in this case the fuel box, and on the fuse box. And on these GM trucks, this here is the fusible link. See this thin wire? And you can see how it's burned and broken. See that piece sticking out? And this is all flimsy here because it actually cut the circuit. And it did that because of my screw up. And what I screwed up was I hooked up the battery backwards. And that was really dumb. I've never done it before. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've never done that before, but I did it here. So the fusible link blew, and we likely blew out some other things too. Maybe the control module and the distributor. We're going to be figuring that out, but that's what happened. So the first thing in hand is to fix the fusible link. Now there is a lot of different opinions out there on whether or not fusible links are a good idea. Why not use a fuse rather than a fusible link? And I'll give you my view on it. While editing, I realized that the wind made this part of the video difficult to hear. So I've added in the commentary right now. A fusible link is a wire that behaves like a slow blowing fuse. While a fuse might blow in milliseconds, a fusible link takes longer. And this provides a measure of tolerance for devices that have a high initial current draw, at the risk of allowing that extra current through. I'm of the opinion that the risk of allowing that extra current through is not worth the reward. And I'm sure some people are going to disagree. I'm sure some of you viewers are definitely going to disagree. But I'm not alone in these opinions. There are many automotive wiring experts that agree with me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to replace the fusible link with a maxi fuse. That's my view. It is not a recommendation. It's just what I'm going to do here. But one thing I will say is never ever bypass a fusible link with a piece of wire. That is a very bad idea. Now back to the video. When you look at these, not that I'm making excuses, but you can try to kind of see how, if I wasn't paying attention, I could make the mistake. Both cables are black, and I think that's GM factory. And both ends are the same size. So the ends actually apparently haven't been used, or maybe one of them hasn't. So they both look like negatives. And I just didn't pay attention to that red connector like I should have. But lesson learned. Hopefully you all can learn a lesson too. We've got a fuse in place now for the fusible link. So we should be good to go. Next check is I'm going to check that we have voltage at the HEI when we turn the key on. Hopefully we do. And then we'll move on from there. Okay, so we checked at the HEI input. We've got 12.69 volts, so we're good there. Now we're going to turn it over and see, and that's with the key on. We're going to see if we have spark at the spark checker. Okay, go ahead. Very good. I don't know if that showed up on camera or not, but we definitely have good spark there. So that's great news. Let's see if this thing will fire. All right, I'm gonna just give it a little squirt of gas. I'm gonna fill the bowl up, give it a little squirt down the throat, just to see if it'll kick. And if it does, then we'll hook up the fuel supply. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful! Woo! Yes! Awesome, man. Woo! Listen to that thing. Wow. There wasn't a lifter check. Nothing. Okay, let's hook up the fuel supply. Yes. Okay, go for it. Sounds good. The choke looks like it works. We'll see as the engine heats up if it opens up. Sounds beautiful. Once it warms up a little bit, I'll adjust the mixture. Yeah, let's check that transmission. Any lights on the dash? Why don't you grab your multimeter, we'll see if it's charging. You always want to check the transmission fluid with the engine running. Yeah, it's a little bit low, but it's not out. But this fluid should be changed. It doesn't seem like it should. It should be redder than it is. Okay. But yeah, you're good. Add a cord in when you can. Okay, let's see if this thing's charging. Yeah, we run DC volts. Beautiful, look at that. 14.7. So it's charging. Want to try the lights and the horn and all that jazz? It's good. Yep, that's high beams. Try low beams. Good. Okay, that high beam was just, turn it on one more time. That high beam was just a bad connection. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful. So I know you're all wondering how these homemade mufflers sound. So let's find out. choke, as you can see here, is kind of wired up manually. We'll have to fix that in a bit. But for now, I've got this propped open, the choke is propped open, so we can tune the idle. It's a little bit lean. I can hear it already. When he presses the gas, the owner presses the gas, it backfires a bit. So the way we're going to do it is with this. Vacuum gauge is your friend when it comes to setting mixture, idle mixture in the carburetor. And the goal is to make this as high as possible. So right now, pretty high already, but it probably can be better. So let's see. So very slowly. Okay, we got a little more vacuum out of it, so that's good. Now we got to do the other side. Don't just go crazy and adjust one and then the other. Do them both sequentially, as sequentially as you can. So what I've done is I've richened that one up. Let's see if this one needs to be richened up. It's not making a whole lot of difference. It's really not making a whole lot of difference. Okay, let me go back to this one. That helps a lot. Okay. Now let's see if it pops. Okay, why don't you give it gas like before? Let's see if it pops. That fixed it. So it's just a little too lean. We're working on the hot air choke now, and how that works is you've got a thermostatic spring that sits in this little cavity, and it's connected to the choke like that. And when the spring's cold, it contracts and closes the choke. When it warms up, and also when it closes the choke, it locks out the secondaries. See that little tab there? It locks them out. As the spring warms up, it pushes up and opens the choke and unlocks the secondaries. The secondaries get locked because GM didn't want you hot rodding around with a super cold engine. But unfortunately, the one he's got in here doesn't fit. This manifold's off of 69, and I don't know what that heat stove is off of, but it doesn't fit. So we're going to try to machine it to try to get it to work. And if it doesn't, it'll just be something that we have to do later. I found a couple of valve cover bolts loose because this thing had, over time, kept moving and loosened the bolt. These do not get tightened up, but they can't be so loose that they're doing nothing. So I just snug it up to hold this plug wire bracket in place. Okay, so we're wrapped up for the day. It runs great, but it's got an electrical gremlin. I tested out the pickup coil. The pickup coil is not right. Sometimes it's shorted out, sometimes it's not shorted out. Now, the pickup coil is not something that can be changed easily. The distributor has to come out, you got to take the gear off the distributor, the shaft has to come out, and then you can change it. So I've decided rather than do all that, which I don't have a pickup coil with me anyway, I'm going to order a distributor for this thing, and we're going to put a distributor in, and that should take care of it. Everything else is done. I don't know why the pickup coil is intermittent. Sometimes the wires get shorted out over time, but these look okay. But sometimes it starts and runs, sometimes it doesn't. So, and when it doesn't, that pickup coil is measuring out as shorted. So more to come on that. We are back to wrap up this square body. As you know, it was running awesome, and then suddenly it wouldn't start. And we tested out the pickup coil, and the coil's bad. So I brought today a whole new distributor. We're not going to mess around. We're just going to drop that distributor in and see what happens. So here's the old distributor. It basically, you loosen the hold down bolt that is right here, right there. And it has a little retaining clamp. That's the only thing that holds that distributor in. And then you pull it straight up and out. You have to take the cap off, of course, because this is connected to the cap along with the 12-volt feed, and if you got a tack, it's also connected. So here's the new one. We're just going to drop this in. It's already got the gasket. Do not forget that gasket. You could get an oil leak if you don't have that on there. It looks beautiful. We're going to drop it in. We've got the rotor was pointing right at this, so we've got that marked, and we're just going to maintain that relationship, and we should be good. The way that these work is there's a slot in there, and you need to engage the oil pump when you drop it in. That's the only trick here, is keeping the rotor aligned while also having this slot engage the oil pump drive shaft. But I've done this 100 times, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So it doesn't quite line up, so I am going to have to change the location of the oil pump push rod. The way to do that, stick a screwdriver down this hole and just turn it slightly. Okay, it's in. Pointing right where I need it to point. It was a bit of a nightmare. It took quite a few tries, and you need a super long screwdriver to do it. Longer than this. The longer flat-bladed screwdriver you get, the better. But it's in. So there's the hold down clamp. So this will hold it down. Then I gotta put the cap on, hook up the wires, hook up the wires to the pickup coil, and power to the cap, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, we are good to go. Everything is in, wires are hooked up. Interesting that 5 and 7 were messed up. And I don't know if I did that or if they were already messed up, because it's super tight on 5 to get to the cap. Super tight. I can't imagine someone would have done that and left it that tight when they changed the wires years ago, but maybe they did. We'll find out shortly. We're hoping this fires right up. No reason it shouldn't at this point. And then after that, we're going to set the timing and probably hook up the tank and all that fun stuff. We've got the auxiliary tank hooked up directly to the carb through gravity feed. We've got the fuel pump coming up through here and going out. We're going to put a can right here so we can pump the gas out of the tank and just see how bad it is. We just put in some fresh gas, non-ethanol fresh gas, so we're hoping it dilutes what's in there enough to be usable. And I think it will, but we'll find out once it comes out. I can smell it and I'll be able to tell you. I'm hoping this fires right up. Before we get started, I'm going to fill up the bowl. All right, get that tank there. I'm going to prime the carb, and assuming it starts, I'll turn the gas on. Go for it. Okay, good. Go ahead. Gas stinks. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, it's not taking gas out of our tank. Do I have gas in the tank? Oh. Because I don't have gas in the tank.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Beautiful. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? We'll let it warm up for a minute and then we'll set the timing. But I mean, that's idling real good. Let's see how it sounds back at the exhaust. Okay, that's beautiful. No issues on that side. No issues on that side. Okay, good. So those plug wires are right. I don't know if they were wrong to begin with or not, but they're right now. Looks like we're charging. We have good oil pressure. Temp looks like it's working. Awesome. Boy, this is really purring. The more it runs, the smoother it gets. Woo! I mean, that's unreal. You could almost balance a pencil on that thing. All right, man. One of the things I always do is check the vacuum leak. And the way you do that, you just take some ether and spray it around spots that you think might leak, like vacuum caps, vacuum to the power brakes, etc. And what I found was the carb base gasket on this was leaking like crazy. And it's got this weird plate. I don't know what that's for, but it's got it. So what I found was each of the 4 mounting screws were loose. Now these are not supposed to be tight. This is an aluminum body carb, but they're not supposed to be finger loose either. So I put a 3/8 ratchet on them and just snugged them up a bit, and the vacuum leak is way better. The carb gasket might still be blown, but it's way better now. You'll notice we've got small idle change when I do that, but it's nothing like it was. So this gasket needs to be changed, but it's not an immediate problem. Time for a ride. The first time in a very long time. The engine sounds great.
Yeah.
I can hear a little bit of noise from the back. The bearing or something. Weren't you saying there was something with the back wheel?
Yeah.
Do you feel it dragging at all?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I thought I felt that.
Yeah, it's dragging.
Uh-huh.
It'll be alright before we take it a little.
As long as we don't take it too far. Is this a posi rear end, do you know?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I feel that dragging. Feels like the brake is stuck on.
It may be. That's kind of what I felt like maybe
Yep.
it was.
We'll check it when we get back. Feels like it's your side. All right, first time on the road since when?
Probably about 2013.
Oh, I can feel that shift kit, the transmission. Something up back there. I would turn around up here if you can. Let us take a look at that. Oh yeah. Yeah, you got a stuck brake. Is that emergency brake all the way out? Oh, okay. Yeah. I wonder if it's a cat. Is your steering okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting hotter, whatever it is. We'll get back to you. So one way to check, we do have a stuck wheel for sure, is just lightly and carefully touch the drums. Super cold. Super cold. That's pretty hot. Let's check the other side. Maybe that passenger side. You didn't feel it in the steering, which is weird. Usually you do. Whoa, that one's super hot. Okay, it might be both fronts, but certainly it's this side. So it's so hot that the Creo is actually burning off. And this was a really short ride, like half a mile. So what we're gonna do is loosen the bleeder. And if the wheel frees up, then we know it's not the caliper, it's the hose. But I don't know that we're gonna be able to loosen this up. It looks pretty rusty. I was able to release the bleeder, and there was tons of pressure there. So I think this hose is in fact plugged. I think what's happening is when you press the brakes, it lets the fluid through and then it collapses. So nothing returns. If that's true, then this wheel, this rotor and hub should now spin, but it's too hot to touch. So we're gonna get something to grab it with. Okay, so check this out now. It moves easily. So that's the hose, which is great. So what's happening is this hose is super long on these square bodies. At some point in this hose, it's letting the fluid through and then not letting it back. So it's got to go. I'm going to check the other side too, because it's suspect. It's very hot over there. We found the explanation why the steering wheel wasn't cranking, pulling to the left or right. And that's because this one is stuck too. So both left and right were stuck. We put this engine through a bit of a torture test and it passed just fine. So I'm going to do the same thing here with the bleeder. I'm going to put Creo oil on it and see if I can loosen it up. So let's put this on here. This one's had a little more time to cool, so it's not smoking, but this rim is this hub is super hot. I can't, even my wrench is still hot that I used to take the other side off. Let's see if this one will come off without snapping. It did. It did, but there's no fluid coming out. Okay, let's try that crowbar and see if this hub moves. This one might also have a stuck caliper. Well, how's that feel? Tight?
Tight.
Okay. So this one's going to need a hose and a caliper. Yep. Yeah, that's too tight. Okay. Well, that explains that mystery. So we've got brake problems that need to be solved. Yeah, fluid did come out, so we know we've got the pressure relieved and it's still stuck. So 2 hoses and a caliper minimally. Probably both calipers would be best to change. So we can't be sure, but it also sounded like there was a little noise coming from the rear. And I'm going to check the fluid. I'm going to check these U-joints. That U-joint's completely fine. Let me check the fluid. To do that, there's the plug. You just put an extension into the plug and crank on it with a ratchet. Sometimes they're super tight, sometimes they're not. It's fine. It's right up to the plug, which is how you tell. So no issues here with that being low. So we are wrapping up here. We checked the back, there's nothing wrong. The diff gears have good lash, the brakes aren't stuck. So the problem all was here, and that was the noise we were hearing. So Brent, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling wonderful about it. Feeling very wonderful.
Yep. You gonna take care of the front brakes?
I am.
And then what?
I'm gonna start driving it on the road.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's gonna be a regular driver.
So Brent, as you know from earlier in this video, has an unbelievable history with this truck, and it's really gratifying to see it back almost ready for the road.
It's just this far.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Brent. This has been super fun.
Thank you. Thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. This square body is amazing. It's got an amazing look. It runs incredible. The transmission's good with a shift kit. It's nearly ready to go. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day. I told you earlier that you might be familiar with where I'm at, and this is why. If you remember from earlier this year, This truck was seized. We have a video on it. Check it out. It's a pretty interesting way how we got this thing unseized. But since that time, it's seen some road duty, and it's so good to see this being brought back to daily driver status.